Hello, I'm Steve Kime. Thank you for joining us today at our show called Looking Back at 2019. And we have a very special guest joining us in the studio today, the city manager of Irving, Chris Hillman. Chris?
Steve, it's good to see you.
Welcome to the show Looking Back. I remember I was about a sophomore in high school and many years ago, and my mother said, Steve, from now on the years will go faster. And of course I was, 17 years of age, and I knew everything, at 17. And when she made that statement that the years will go faster, I thought, Mom, there's just no way. Do you find it that the years go quicker as city manager?
Each and every year goes by very quickly because our goal as a city is to take full advantage of all the opportunities that we have going on here in the city of Irving. And there is so much going on right now in this city. Any opportunity that a city has anywhere in the country or even anywhere in the world, whether it's economic development, infrastructure redevelopment, every city has all of those challenges. Almost every single challenge that a city can go through, the city of Irving is going through right now, from significant new growth, infrastructure redevelopment, economic development. We're managing it all at the same time. And that makes the time go very quick.
And it's just amazing how fast the calendar goes. Well, Chris, as you know, the Irving City Council, they identified 6 strategic goals, and I want to read those for us. Number 1 is financial sustainability, infrastructure investment, economic development, vibrant economy, service excellence, inclusive and collaborative governance, and then talented and energized workforce. Let's take these one at a time. When we talk about financial sustainability, 2 points that come to mind: containing cost and managing long-term liabilities. That almost sounds like what you do in your personal life. You're maintaining costs, but you're planning for the future. So can you kind of break down that particular goal of financial sustainability? What does it mean to you as city manager?
You bet. There are a couple things that means. First, for sustainability, what we really try and focus on is what we look for in resiliency. We're going to have a lot of ups and downs in our economy. We're going to have really strong markets like we have now. We're in a very strong economy. We're going to also have some lean years as we go through recessions. We take advantage, especially in these strong markets, to make sure that we're setting ourselves up strategically to be able to pay for not just our costs now, but be able to absorb those costs when our revenues go down, or if we need to make changes, we can act quickly enough to do so and make changes without impacting the services to our residents. A couple key focus areas that we look at. First is our ratings. We are still a AAA rated city with 2 different rating agencies, and that is something that many cities in Texas do not have. Several have, and a number have, a AAA from 1 rating agency. There's only 6 or 7 in the state that have it from both, and that's S&P and Moody's. Now what that allows us to do, it allows us to go out and borrow money for those major capital projects that we have: the water, the sewer, the streets, the facilities. In our last bond issue, our interest rate for our bonds was 2.09%. That is the cheapest and the lowest interest rate this city has ever had, and that's due to our AAA bond rating. And we get that AAA bond rating through the good financial management that we have here in the city. Another key focus area that we look at is in our budget. Each and every year we go through a budget process, and we make sure that it's not a simple 40 or 50,000 foot view that we pass quickly. We take the time, we get the key strategies and the focus areas from our council, we apply that to our strategic plan, and then we go through line item by line item, every single budget in every single department. What that means is we have a 1,000-page document in our budget, and our council, our residents, anybody can go to that document, look at any line item, a professional services line item in public works, and they can see if there's $100,000 that's budgeted for that fiscal year for professional services. They can go into that description and see exactly how that $100,000 is broken out, which means each and every year when I sit down with all the department heads, we look at every one of those line items. We say, what do you need for this year? What's different for next year as opposed to this current fiscal year? Do you need those dollars? If not, we're going to move those over to another area. It may be within your department, it may even be outside of your department. That way we make sure everybody has the resources needed and necessary to provide the services that the council has identified that they would like to continue to provide for our residents. We want to make sure that each and every one of our taxpayer dollars is efficiently and effectively spent.
As we look back at 2019, all municipalities have a real challenge in regards to infrastructure. And the second strategic goal was infrastructure investment. I was speaking, Chris, with another director at the city administration building the other day, and he shared with me there was about 1,500 miles of pipeline, if you will, in Irving. 700, give or take a few miles, for just water, and then another 700 for wastewater, if you will. And then there's the pipeline to get water here. So it's around 1,500 miles. And I looked on the map before we sat down and had our visit today, and from Irving to Los Angeles is 1,450 miles. So I'm thinking, in this city alone, we can take the pipe and run from Irving to Los Angeles. That is impressive. Water's important, wastewater's important, but the magnitude of 1,500 miles can be, I guess, overwhelming to a council, to a city manager. Along those lines, we have a program that's called Road to the Future. People hear that from time to time. Can you kind of give us a brief overview of what Road to Future is all about?
You bet, Steve.
And that's the other side of the 1,500. It has nothing to do with that.
There's a lot of infrastructure in this city, a lot. Whether it's roads, water, sewer, storm drain. A lot of it's underground, a lot of it we can't see. There is a lot that we can see up above the ground. It's our responsibility as a city to make sure that when residents turn on the water, good clean water comes out of the tap. When they flush the toilet, whatever they're flushing is gone and goes to sewer treatment plants. We want to make sure when they're driving on the roads that they're good, solid roads. And it's not just our residents, it's our businesses as well. They're delivering goods and services on our roads. When our kids walk to school on the sidewalks, we want to make sure that they have good, safe, well-maintained sidewalks. So we are very focused as a city to make sure that our infrastructure is as up-to-date and as improved as possible. Unfortunately, we're never going to have enough dollars available to take care of all the infrastructure needs at any one given time. So we have to take a very strategic approach to that. And we've come up with several very strategic programs to help us do just that. And Steve, you mentioned one of them, and that's our Road to the Future program. We are entering our third year for Road to the Future. This is the city's commitment to invest $100 million in 5 years. That's about a $20 million a year average. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. However, when we did our assessment on roads several years back and we gave ourselves a grade for those roads, we ended up about an average of a C-. We had about $800 million worth of improvements that we needed to make in order to increase our grade, our average grade, up to a B or above. After this investment of $100 million in this 5-year period for Road to the Future, our average grade is still going to be, if not even a C-. It might even go a little bit lower because roads do not deteriorate in a linear fashion. When they start to go quick. So when the roads that we're not fixing continue to age, they're deteriorating that much more quickly, which means not just for this next 5 years, but for the next 5 years after that, in the next 5 years after that, we need to make sure that we continue with that investment. Now that's just roads. We also have a program that we're just starting, and that's our Drainage for a Better Tomorrow. Our residents have probably noticed that in the last several years we've had a lot of water, a lot of rain, a lot of very wet summers, and even fall and winter for that matter, coming through the city of Irving. And there have been a number of areas in this city that we've seen some pretty significant flooding. 2015 was by far the worst year that we've had in the 6 years that I've been here. So we set up a program to invest over $100 million as well in our storm drain program. And that's going to be a 5-year program. Now what that means is there's going to have to be an increase in the stormwater funds that we receive from both residents and businesses. There has to be a way to pay for that. We've been on average for the residential rates about $4 a month, and we've been $4 a month at that rate for about 8 to 10 years now. So we need to raise that rate, and the council is moving through that process in order to start paying for these improvements. Now here's the good news. In a lot of these areas where we're making these drainage improvements, and it's the major channels that carry the water from north to south and all throughout the city, as we make these improvements, we are taking residents out of the flood zones, which means their homeowner's insurance goes down. We just finished a major investment in one of our channels, over $50 million, and we had more than 300 homes taken out of the floodplain through those investments. What's more is it allows the water to move that much more quickly through our city, and we need to make major investments. We've done an assessment of our storm drain system. We've only done about 57% of it, and we've already identified over $200 million worth of improvements. So this first $100 million over 5 years is going to be the good first step, but there's going to need to be, and there will be a lot more after that.
Well, Chris, you just touched on a very important topic of infrastructure, but another topic that gets a lot of attention in the Irving community is economic development. And I want to read this segment to make sure I get it right. When you first think about it, Irving is situated between Dallas and Fort Worth, and it may be easily swallowed up or not in the news because it's between two major communities, if you will. And so you might think Irving could be overlooked because you've got these big neighbors. But there's a statistic that I read the other day that Irving boasts the fact that 54 Fortune 500 companies have a presence here. So the question is, Chris, why is it so attractive for major corporations to move their headquarters to Irving?
A number of reasons, Steve. First off, we do have 54 Fortune 500 companies that office here in Irving. We have 7 Fortune 500 companies whose world headquarters are here. There's another 5 Fortune 1000 companies that have their headquarters here. We have almost 180,000 people that come into the city of Irving each and every day to work. We are a business center, and there's a number of reasons for that. First, location, location, location. We are in the middle of the Metroplex. That is a very strong talent pool that businesses are looking to tap into. They're hardworking, they're educated, and they have a great work ethic, and that is very attractive to business. In Irving and in Texas as a whole, we have a very strong pro-business climate. We have low taxes, we have low utility rates, we are pro-business when it comes to services that we offer. In the city of Irving, for example, a company comes in, they want to build a new building, they submit plans for the new building. We have not missed turning around a set of plans for business in 6 days or less in the last 6 years. We have not missed a time. Time is money for these businesses, and we know and understand that in the city of Irving. So when we get those plans, we work quickly and efficiently to get those turned around to make sure that they have some feedback from the city. And when you have, again, a very pro-business climate with our mayor and our council very focused in on business and making sure that they do those weekly, monthly, even daily reach outs to the corporations and to the businesses to make sure we're knowing and understanding and addressing what their needs and issues are. We have great partners at the Chamber of Commerce who we work with on a lot of economic development issues. They work with us on recruitment and retention. We have a great internal team as well, whether we're working on recruitment and retention with the Chamber or on a number of other different economic development projects. So we put all of that together. You have a great team, a great location, a great environment, and a can-do attitude. You put all that together with a strong workforce, and businesses are going to show up all day long.
We're going to talk about community appearance in just a moment, but along lines of economic development, when you continue to have the Fortune 100, the 1,000, or Fortune 500 as well, companies here, the appearance is that it is pro-business. And so when another organization who's not here sees that their competitor or another industry is here, the appearance is Irving knows what they're doing. Yes. And that's got to help in the selling point.
It is one of the greatest selling points. Some of the greatest ambassadors that we have for the city of Irving are the businesses themselves and the CEOs of those businesses. When we have companies come in looking for an opportunity to either expand, to grow, or relocate into the city of Irving, is staff or at the city or staff at the chamber, we can talk all day long and let them know, y'all are going to love this, so come on in. Yeah. However, the best ambassadors that we have are those other CEOs that are already here. And we make those connections. And we tell these businesses, don't just take our word for it. Talk to these other businesses that are here as well. And you'll learn and hear and see what their experience has been. And because of that, we've been able to bring in McKesson, a Fortune 10 company that brought in the world headquarters from San Francisco. We were able to expand Microsoft this last year. We're adding another 550 new employees with Microsoft. That will make our campus the second largest campus for Microsoft outside of Redmond. And those continued investments, Allstate was another great win. Flowserve was another great win. These companies talk to each other. They know and understand where business can be successful. And they hear and understand that when you come to Irving, you can be successful as a business.
The fourth strategic goal put together by the City Council focused on service excellence, and it deals with improving community appearance and also maintaining the neighborhood integrity. What are those two objectives? What does that mean?
There's a lot of ways that we're looking to enhance and improve all of our services across the city, and this last year shows some really good examples of how we're focused in on that. The primary service that we provide as a city is public safety. We want to make sure our residents, our visitors, our businesses are very safe. And we've made an investment over a number of years in new fire stations, Station 12, we're building Station 4 right now. But more recently, we have added, just in the last 3 years, we have added 130 new police and firefighter positions to make sure that our response times stay low, that our beats are well staffed in our police department, and to make sure that when our residents pick up the phone in that time of need and they dial 911, that there's going to be a dispatcher that immediately answers. They're not going to be put on hold, and that after that dispatcher gets that information, they're going to get the help that those residents need very quickly and within all the established benchmark of time responses that we have as a city, even within those and even faster than those. And that's the type of commitment we want to make sure that we continue with the City of Irving, especially on public safety. But it doesn't just include public safety. We are looking at parks. We just finished a brand new golf course, the redo of what used to be the old golf course that we had. We've now renamed it the Irving Golf Club. And that's a $5 million investment.
With a great restaurant, by the way.
With a great new restaurant. If you have a chance, head on out, grab a burger, look at the great view, and then play around the golf and see the difference of what was the old Twin Wells versus now the new Irving Golf Club. And the residents are going to be very pleased. We've made significant investments in some recreation centers. Center Park just had $1 million investment in renovation. It just reopened here this last summer and fall. We're making significant investments into our Georgia Farrow Recreation Center as well, another $3-4 million there of expansion and renovation. And we can go through so many different facilities and services and really show for our residents we're taking this growth, we're taking this strong market, and we're reapplying those dollars into all these services to help enhance and provide a better quality of life for our residents.
Besides street, and that's the phrase I'm getting to, besides streets and taking care of sewer and things of this nature, quality of life is a big component.
A very big component. Our residents live here for that quality of life. Yep, it's a great location. We're literally in the center of it all. But they would not stay here, and these businesses would not stay here if they didn't have the great trail system, the great park system, the great library system that we have, the good roads that we have, the access to incredible mass transportation. The city invests just in DART alone over $80 million a year in DART mass transit. That's the light rail, that's the commuter rail, those are the bus lines that we have. All of that is being provided by the city's dollars, and we want to make sure that that quality of life is highly maintained and improved each and every year.
Well, Chris, we're on number 5 of the 6 strategic goals that the council put together. And municipalities often face challenges to engage the community and to ensure transparent government. And you touched on earlier in our visit today about going to that line item where individuals can see what makes up that cost and things of this nature. So what ways is the city of Irving connecting with residents?
A great example this past year was our Parks Master Plan. We had not done a Parks Master Plan in over a decade. It needed significant updates. And we knew in order to understand what we needed to be doing as a city, we had to engage the residents. We had to understand what is important for you, we would ask the residents, and please give us that feedback. So we spent 18 months talking with our residents, going out to the community, talking with our stakeholders, whether it's the school district, whether it's businesses, the residents, the chamber, all of those entities we wanted and solicited that feedback from. So as we create a master plan for our parks that will cover the next 10 to 15 years, we knew and understood that these were the focus areas that were important for each one of those stakeholder groups and for our residents. And after that 18-month period, the council accepted and adopted that Parks Master Plan. And we are now in the process working with our bond committee and with the council to go out to a bond election this upcoming May. And there's about $75 million in that bond election that will now begin to help pay for that Parks Master Plan. So that's one simple but big example of how we look to engage our residents. Another great example is with our Irving 360 program. This is the Irving University, if you will. We invite residents to come in, about 30 at a time each year, and we walk them through a multi-phased approach of learning and understanding how this city operates, how it moves, how it pays for things, the services it provides. And it's an all-encompassing experience. We get them out to the landfill and we show them what it's like. We have them over at the fire departments and we're having them change in and out of the fire gear, working the fire hoses. We get them over to the police department. They see the SWAT team in action. We get them over to streets. We get them over to water and sewer, and we show them all these things so we can better explain, not just to them, but they can then go out and be the ambassadors to the rest of the community. Here's what it takes to operate and manage and to run a city with all these different services. So it's a way to help provide good information to our residents. We have a very long waiting list to get into this program, and the program has been so successful, we're going to have a couple spin-offs, sort of like what you get after a successful TV show. Spin-off number 1 is we're going to create, and we already have, the Youth 360, Irving 360 program. So we've now created a specialized program just for the youth, where we've made it even that much more interactive, that much more engaging, to help the youth know and understand what it takes to provide all these services as a city, and hopefully get them engaged or more engaged in their community. The second spin-off is what we call our Irving 360 2.0 program. And we're going to be asking our graduates from the Irving 360 program to come back to the city, and we're going to identify specific issues or areas of concern, and we're going to be engaging them to say, can you please provide thoughts, feedback, input, and solutions that you see that we could then use as a city to approach these different challenges and problems with. In other words, we know and understand as a city that when we are actively engaging our residents, we are involved with them, we are bringing them in and having them have a seat at the table, we can that much better solve the issues and the challenges that we have as a city because we're doing it together.
We're at the 6th goal, which is talented workforce, Chris. And one of the recent reports said that the city retained 93% of the workforce during the past year. So this is kind of a two-part question. Number 1, can you just share with us the number of employees that make up this, City of Irving workforce and really keep the city going? And how do you go about getting the best and brightest? And with a 93% retain rate, pretty impressive. How do you do that as well?
It is. We have the best employees. I'll admit, I'm very biased, but we have the best municipal employees in the state. They do a tremendous job. Each and every day, our employees go out there. And they're in the rain, they're in the sunshine, they're in the snow, they're in the sleet, they're in the miserable conditions at times. But they go out there and they do it every day. And it's the employees that make this city very successful. We have 2,300 of them, and they're spread across all departments of this city. We have full-time, we have part-time, we have seasonal, whether it's lifeguards, making sure our kids are safe when they're at their pools, it's our police officers, our firefighters, all the way to the back of the house departments with finance, accounting, human resource. And they all have one thing in mind. It's making sure that our residents experience and feel and have a positive and meaningful impact every time there's an interaction between our residents in the city or our businesses in the city or even our visitors in our city. We have about 4 million visitors that we have each and every year. This last year we went through a process where we asked our employees to review and to look at our value statements. That was something that we had received feedback from our employees based upon the employee survey that we conduct every 2 years. They wanted to look at those. So we spent 6-7 months, and I sat down with about 600 different employees, brought in pizza, sat them down an hour at a time, about 15 to 20 of them at a time, and asked them, here are your current values, what do you think of these, or what other values are important to you? And after all those months, we put a list together. We then shipped that out to all the employees. And they voted on and came up with their final value statements. And we even hold that, and we still have it right here. These are our value statements. And these are employee-driven. They're employee-created. And these are the values that our employees live by each and every day. And as I talked with the employees, I told them, we can have good days and we can have bad days, but we know we can have a successful day when we live by our values. So that's how we look to engage our employees. That's why we have, and I'm very pleased with the great retention rate. We want to make sure they're competitively paid, competitively benefited, but we also want to make sure that we provide a great working environment, one that is inclusive, one that is engaged, and one that is very appreciative of the work that they do.
Very good. Well said. Our special guest today on Looking Back at 2019, the City Manager of Irving, Chris Hillman. And we're going to take a short break, and we've got one more question for Chris. It has to deal with all the recognition that Irving is receiving. We're trying to figure out, how does this happen? Thanks for staying with us. We'll be back right after this.
Why should I care about the 2020 census?
Every 10 years, the census counts everyone living in the U.S.
Count everyone living with you.
Even kids!
Our numbers help shape funding and services.
For all these things.
That's a lot of stuff.
Your responses are safe and secure.
No matter who you are or where you're from.
We have reasons to care.
Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Welcome back to Looking Back at 2019. Thank you for being with us today. It's my privilege to visit with the City Manager of Irving, Chris Hillman. Chris, thank you for your time. I know you are one busy individual, and of course I know the entire staff is busy as well. But I have one final question for you. I was reading in preparation for our visit today, I was reading that Irving is in the top 5 best performing cities in technology. And according to another source, they're the third hardest working city in America. And then according to a group called Smart Asset Organization, Irving was named one of the most livable cities in America. Those are 3 key recognitions. So how does Irving achieve that recognition?
Very simple. It's the great work that our residents and our businesses do each and every day. We have 250,000 residents here in the city of Irving. And they go out, they raise their families, they work their jobs, they live their lives, and they are committed not only to their families, but they are committed to their community as well. I see example after example of our residents getting engaged in their communities. And we are, in the city of Irving, a mosaic of neighborhoods and communities. We come from all over the world, literally. 1/3 of our residents are foreign-born. And they bring with them their thoughts, their ideas, their innovations, their passions. And you put all of that together, and you have each one of those individuals focusing for the betterment of their community, the betterment of their neighborhoods. When you bring all that together, you have a successful city. And with the diversity that we have in the city, with that passion, with that commitment, it's only natural and inherent that we're going to get and be recognized with those types of awards and achievements. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. I see it every day, whether I go to the rec center and I'm talking with the people that are there as I do my workouts, or I go to the different school events with my kids. I see the passion and the love of community that our residents have. And any community, any city would be blessed and successful when they have that type of commitment from the residents. So it all comes down to those residents. And right next to that is our businesses. They make a significant investment each and every day into the city. They bring their talent, they bring their dollars, they bring their research, they bring their technology into the city that allows our residents and our workforce to take advantage of all of that. And if we can continue to help provide the opportunities, the environment, and helping our residents and our businesses be successful, we then as a city are successful if we focus on the success of others.
Chris, our visit today has been very informative and enlightening as we're looking back at 2019. Your views of 2020, things look pretty good?
Things are looking great, Steve. We have a lot going on. We're going to continue with these same programs. We have a lot of investment. We're going to continue in our infrastructure. Economic development is continuing to be very strong. We see a very strong market over 2020 and hopefully even into 2021, and we're going to continue to take full and complete advantage of it.
Sounds good to me. Chris, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Steve.
Appreciate it very much.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for joining us today on Looking Back at 2019. Our very special guest, City Manager of Irving, Chris Hillman. So until next time, this is Steve Kime. Make it a great day, and thanks for watching.